Hey there, everyone. I wanted to make a video about how to get the most out of this experience of watching these videos, right? So, what can you be doing while watching these videos in order to help with your recall on quizzes and exams? Also, there's a few technical things that I'm not sure if you realize, but can really enhance, right, this video watching experience. Okay, so I have a nice video playing here. And the first thing that I wanted to bring up for you guys was that, especially if I have this in maybe a full screen mode or something, it looks okay. But if you're finding that your video is at all blurry, you may want to consider changing the quality settings. So, right, if I change this from 720p to 1080p, the claim is everything looks a bit crisper. So if you're getting annoyed because everything's a bit fuzzy, you may want to go ahead and change it to the highest level quality setting so everything comes through a little bit crisper. Another kind of technical thing is the speed option, right? So on especially laptops and desktops and things like this, they have the speed option. I've noticed that not all phones and tablets may necessarily have the speed, but if you're watching it, and it really, I guess it depends on the operating system, right? But I've noticed that laptops, desktops, things like this, they have this speed option. So if you find when you're watching the video that it's going on forever, that you're like, come on, get through it, you can watch this actually at double speed. And so you'll see maybe when I'm starting to write here that everything's going, well, twice as fast. I have the volume all the way turned down. Maybe I'll start writing here. But there we go. So yeah, now I'm writing much faster than I normally would. Likewise, if you find that when you're watching the videos that with all of the writing and the talking and stuff like this that you're missing things, you may actually want to slow it down. So instead of watching it at normal speed, you may want to watch it, at half speed or at 3/4 speed or something like this. So that way, not only can you write down the things that I'm writing down, but actually you can start to catch some of the things that I'm saying. So these are a few kind of technical things that I found can actually really change your video watching experience. Also, if you're someone who likes closed captions, right, there's closed captions, so you can turn those on and off as well. All right, so those are some of the technical details. Some of the things that I think will help with recall when it comes to the videos is actually taking time to pause the video and try some of the examples on your own before I kind of spoil the surprise. I tell you the answer. And right, I've tried to get, decent at this where I'm kind of telling you guys, okay, I want you to pause, try this example on your own, and then I'll go through the answer. But I think that even more than that, I mean, you could take it upon yourself to do this to even more questions. And the idea is, right, sorry, I had to pause this, it's distracting me. Right, if someone just gives you question, answer, here's a question, here's an answer, here's a question, here's an answer, right? At least for me, those things don't always necessarily stick because I didn't feel the conflict, really. I mean, the question was immediately solved. But if I say, here's a question, now struggle with this, right? And now you have to go back to your definitions or the theorem and you have to try to come up with the answer on your own. And you probably don't make it all the way through. Maybe you only make it halfway through or something like that. Then, well, if you watch the videos, I explain how to make that jump, right? And you start to hear some of the words that I'm saying and why we're doing, the things that we're doing in order to solve this conflict, right? How to actually get the answer to the problem. So, again, by trying the problem on your own and then seeing the solution, I found that these things stick with me a lot better, right? I think it's a more memorable experience than just here's a question, here's an answer. Here's a question, here's an answer, right? So again, I really want to emphasize if you pause the video, try these things on your own, get stuck. I mean, maybe you get stuck immediately. Then you need to kind of play it a little bit farther. And then you see, okay, here's how I would begin. And then you pause it, right? And then you pause and you try to get kind of as far as you possibly can. And then when you think you have an answer, you go ahead and play it. Hopefully you confirm that your answer is right. But if it's wrong, then again, this is a memorable experience. You kind of say, this is where my misconception was. And this is how I actually solve this problem. Okay, one more thing that I think is really useful, right, is actually re-watching the videos a second time. So again, we're trying to kind of enhance our recall abilities when it comes to these concepts, these questions, right? When we come to a quiz or an exam, I know that we've all been exposed to the material before, but we want to be able to recall it and perform those questions on quizzes and exams, right? And one thing that really helps with recall is repetition, right? So if you watch the videos once before going to class, right? Now you've seen them once, you get exposed again during class. We go over more concepts and we, go them further in detail and see how they apply to more examples. That's a second exposure. And then if you come back and you watch the videos a third time, that's a third exposure. And then you have your homework, that's 4 times, right? So you're getting exposed to this more times, and that's going to help with your recall. The other thing that I find is that the first time you're exposed to a new concept, right, at least for me, almost none of it sticks, right? So I get exposed to new material, and it's really not until the second or the third time when I'm doing my homework maybe or something that this stuff really starts to stick. So by watching these videos a second time through, you're helping, actually get these concepts to stick. And you're going to take more out of the videos the second time through, because the first time through, again, you're just getting exposed to it. You're going to say, this doesn't really make sense to me, right? But if you watch it a second time, maybe after class or something, well, then those words and stuff that I'm talking about are going to make a lot more sense. And the other thing that happens is when you watch it through a second time, right, you can actually start to listen to some of the words that I'm saying. Because the first time through, right, you're copying everything down. You're writing a bunch, and you may not necessarily think about all the words that I'm saying. But when you watch it through a second time, you can really focus on those words, right? And the claim is those words are often where I say why we're doing the things we're doing, why it has to work this way, right? Often I'm writing down the formal steps, but why are we taking those steps? Well, that I usually explain in words. So if you watch the video a second time through, you start to pick up on some of those words and some of the why are we doing it the way that we're doing it, right? And so I think that this is very useful. So anyway, there's a few technical things and a few, less technical things that you should consider doing in order to get the most out of these videos. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you next time.